Is there a Bitcoin bounce and altcoin bounce in the near future? We've got some incredible news for Cardano and also maybe a little bit of a leak on ONDO. What does it mean for the market? We're seeing Bitcoin crash right now, pulling back a couple $100. Are we in for a bigger washout before we get this bounce, or is the bounce that signaled just a trap? Price action goes sideways. We're going to be diving into all of this and more here in just a few seconds. I'm just getting this retweeted out on both Kellam X profile, as well as, of course, the Academy BitLab page. So I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. We're going to be looking at all the signals in the crypto market right now that are identifying what is next. So let's get into it, everybody. Drop a 1 in chat if you are ready to look at these charts. Let me know, are you bullish or bearish through the end of this week? Type it in, bull or bear. Let's see what everybody's saying. Let's get some activity in here. Bitcoin is signaling a big move is inbound in the very near future. We got to look at a signal that gold may be signifying as well. And then, of course, what is going on with the crypto market? Because we're seeing some pretty big signs that a bounce could be coming in, but it could be a trap. We need to make sure that we can pay attention to what's going on in this market so that we do not get caught on the wrong side of this trend. Is a better opportunity with lower prices inbound? Let's talk about it. We got Ryan in the house, Sack Nasty, Palm Beach Peter, Alexander G, Taco Fisher, Green Day Profits, Nicole Camboni, Crypto Carter, how you doing? IZ, I guess, crypto a quarter crawler, I should say. But let's dive into it, everybody. We got to talk about what's going on in this market because we got some big things on the horizon in this market in the very near future, but it feels like this chop is just never ending. So are you guys ready to get into this? I know I am. Let's dive into this. Let's get some activity going. We got this streaming on YouTube and X today because we didn't get thrown into the fire. But let's talk about it. Let's get in. Let's dive in. Crypto, crypto, crypto. Crypto markets doing what they're doing on a daily basis. We can see jumping right into the charts. Crypto, Bitcoin. Let's actually get to the 7-minute chart. Oh my God, Bitcoin is crashing. Look at this move from 97,000 all the way to the depths of 96.6. Let's understand what a crash is versus what a general pullback chopping in the zone is. And looking at this on this chart, interesting how once this lost this trend signal line, rejected right in this basically 20 moving average EMA ribbon, rejected here again, came right into the trend signal line, rejected, right back into the 20 moving average, rejected, right back into the trend signal line, rejected, right back into the trend signal line, rejected. But when we zoom out on this chart, 6 hour, I mean, this is just still at the same equilibrium point that we've been seeing for days and days. In fact, when we really zoom into this, look at all these doji candles, all on this 96.5, 96.6, 96.6, 90, all in the same zone. Little move up into this EMA ribbon. And then look at this, rejected right back down. And currently, we're at the same point all these dojis are at. What is going on with this chop, chop, chop? At the same time, we're seeing the OTC markets completely depleted, and we've seen over 750,000 Bitcoin being taken off. I don't want to say out of circulation, but in some ways it is out of circulation with these coins going into essentially wallets that are more institutional minded, more longer term minded. And yet people are losing their minds right now because it's not just up only. As we've talked about on this channel for the last year and a half, but really over the last 4 months, the outlook for what's coming to this market in the near future, and it could, again, we're in such a precarious place right now with ultimate bullishness, while at the same time, that ultimate bullishness is leading people to just expect now is when the market goes up. Now, right now. But then when we come back over and we look at, for instance, this others chart, which we've been looking at a lot lately, let's turn off all the signs and signals and just the price action and levels. Price action got the washout to the downside. Now we've moved right back up, as you can see, right back up into the zone of this descending level of previous support, now acting here as resistance, as this already tested once, came down. Now it's currently kind of testing again. But are there signs and signals across the ecosystem that a bounce is coming? And if so, is the bounce a relief rally that is only yet to get rejected again, or is this going to continue up? Let's dive into this. We see Wispy in the house, a veteran crypto, Tater in the house, and so many others in here. Sandman, Atropine, Naughty Ways, Steadybug. Let's dive into what we got to look at today, because we got a lot to look at. And coming over to the coin market cap rankings, we can see, actually, let me come up here. You can't see it yet. I know. I'm putting on the watch list. Boom. Reverse this. And let's look at some movements in the market. And what are two of the coins I got out of a few days ago? Sharp AI. We're just kind of in a risk-off environment right now. I'm really trying to concentrate where I think liquidity is going to flow. We also see this down, Paid down, Swarm Markets down, Aptos down, Moonwell, DSO's down, AIXBT's down, Dogs down, Akala's down, Solana. But it's all red, right? Well, flipping it back the other way, AI16Z on a 35% bounce. Polytrade, 16%. Cardano, which we got some news on today, 13%. Pinlink's up 11%. Swell is up 10%. Compound's up 9%. We're getting a mixed bag in the market right now. We're at a spot in the market where there's expectation of super bullishness because where we're at, but there's also a little bit of pressure because the liquidity is not fully flowing into this market yet in terms of the risk. The risk narrative in markets is not yet saying all systems go, but we're getting bullish news that's super bullish in certain different assets within the crypto ecosystem while there's still uncertainty out there. So when you look at the index of the altcoin market, in this case like this, we see that we are getting a little bit of a sell-off, but is it over or is it only just about to begin? Born's dog down. We stop shilling that trash now? No, absolutely not. I'm not shilling anything. I think it's a great project, and it's doing just like we've seen with a lot of other projects. It's not just dog. We're seeing, I mean, look at this. This is showing the index of alts. Pretty big sell-off here. And again, we'll get into other TA here as well. But going through what we're looking at, we're seeing the altcoins flashing a bullish divergence right now. And we're going to be doing TA on a bunch of different coins. So everybody throw the coins in the live chat right here. Welcome to the channel, everybody. XR Pete, Crowder Crawler, Borns, Green Day Profits, every Big Hands Dan. We're seeing everybody in the vibe. So when we're diving into this, we see the setup is here, but this does not mean it has to happen now. Currently, we're seeing a potential bullish divergence. There's a hidden bullish divergence when you have the price higher and the RSI lower. But let's just call it a bullish divergence. If this is able to hold in this zone, there's on the 3-day chart, then we may be setting up for a little bit of a bounce. The question is going to be, is the bounce out of this going to be a bounce up into the lows here, which is a regular place for price action to push up into? And what happens if the alts do get a bounce into this? Can we break free and start making the move to the upside? Well, let's get through some of the data we want to look at, and then we're going to dive in and look at the altcoins, look at the TA, get some charts, get some signals. Token Tide Interest, I see you. Rhino Ligny, I see you. Food is Life, I see you. And anybody, I'm seeing all these YouTube comments. I'm not seeing any X comments, and I know we've got several hundred people watching over on X as well. Open that up. Get in the live chat. I can see all your comments. Token Tide Trimter says, Doc. Rhino Ligny says, Orca on Soul. Falco says, got some dog in my pocket. You know what? Let's dive into the data we want to look at. Well, right now, this is something that is concerning. Gold is ripping. Now, why would that be a concern? There's a little bit of a question right now in terms of what the gold could be signaling, because a lot of times it could be a front-running signal for big players. Could be hedge funds, could be nation states, could be, smart money players de-risking, getting something, layering into, that store of value. That's what gold is supposed to be, right? And if there's a huge appetite for it, and there's uncertainty with what's going on with all these tariffs and what's going on the political stage, there may be a little bit of a choppiness in the broader traditional markets. The question is right now, although gold is signaling potentially a lead into a risk-off environment, are we yet at that point where Bitcoin is in the narrative enough, and the structure of the types of holders that are layering into Bitcoin or have layered in lack of willingness to sell, but also the appetite to stack in before the Bitcoin market really has all the buying pressure from sovereign wealth funds, from nation state, strategic Bitcoin reserves, so on and so forth. Is Bitcoin at that cusp where it can start to trade along with the risk off narrative as well as the risk on narrative? That's the question that you need to realize we need to ask. Yes, it's still kind of trading like a risk asset, like tech stocks, but it's also on this cusp from this broader global acceptance that we may be, and I'm not saying we are, it's a question we have to ask. We may be at that point where that flipping can happen, because when we come back over this summer 2024 vibes, you know the deal. Bitcoin will bore you to death. As long as gold keeps trending, Bitcoin almost always sees a comparable, so the leading signal here, bigger breakout within 3 to 6 months. Now, that may frustrate you. 3 to 6 months. But what does that mean? If it's not breaking out yet, that means you potentially have 3 to 6 months to continue stacking in at these levels with Bitcoin, with altcoins, with whatever assets you are layering into. Now, do I think it's going to take 3 to 6 months? I don't, because I am a bull on this market, and I do think we're going to get a move before that. The question is, are we going to start to get the big moves, or is this going to be a slow burn to the upside? I don't know. That's why we're on this on a daily basis. Now, continuing on, what do we see? The narrative around crypto is changing at the Federal Reserve. Another super bullish thing to consider. Now, again, everybody stick with me here. We're going to cover a couple of these things. We're going to be diving into what's going on with ETH. We're going to be talking about charts on what's happening with Cardano, ONDO, Solana. We may look at a little bit XRP. We're going to kind of see what the appetite is with all of you participating in the live chat. That's where we're going to be jumping in. Bourne says, sell in May, walk away. I wouldn't hold shit in May. Well, let's talk about that. I think that's a persistent thought over the last few years. And it's a very valid thing that we all need to consider, because when the liquidity dries up into the summer, we've seen Bitcoin be either incredibly boring or even have pullbacks that has just chopped people out. So we need to be aware of that. But we're going to be looking at a bunch of charts, TA levels, so on and so forth. So let's run through some of this narrative. So crypto, narrative around crypto is changing at the Federal Reserve. In a pair of speeches on Friday, Republican Fed governors Michelle Baumann and Christopher Waller both signaled a more open stance towards digital assets. This is a massive change. Why is this important? Because their words are notable because Trump will likely use one of them to replace Michael Barr as the next vice chair for supervision, which oversees regulation and how the Fed interacts with banks and crypto. The stage is still getting set. As much as we feel like everything's now super bullish because of the crypto administration, the administration is still having to work in the full effect of all the people that are going to be in the different positions, changing of the guard, if you will, but also what it means once they're in across the board from all the different levels of the department, the administration. But then they need to, pull together the staff, figure out what the new action plans are, and roll these things out. There is a world where markets are fairly choppy. Maybe we get a pump, maybe just hold sideways for another 7 months like it did last year. Remember, it went sideways for 7 months before then we had a massive 100% move. Remember September to the high at 109? That was over 107, 108% move to the upside. We could see that again this year, because if you think about the new administration coming in and how many things that they're trying to get situated or reevaluated or emphasize what the new paradigm is and the new regulations are, this could take some time. So if it does, let's celebrate with the ability to stack into what we want to stack into and not chop ourselves out. Because when we get to the charts, and now we're starting to get to the charts and the altcoins and everything we all really want to talk about, when we get to this, what do we see? What if instead of the end, because some people are suggesting we're near top, what if it was just the beginning? And this is another beautiful chart from Tech Dev. We're seeing these sort of movements here. This little pre-impulse down, reset, launch, pre-impulse down, reset, launch, pre-impulse down, reset, launch. Okay, what do we get? Pre-impulse down. We're at the reset. What happened at all these points previously? This was the precursor to the bigger move. Can you get behind that? I know I can. And the precursor to the bigger move does not mean that we cannot have another impulse to the downside, because we have not cleared anything in this range. That's why I have these two lines drawn. I drew this one last week and I drew this one today, which is we could still have that washout to the downside. Remember, we still have that massive CME futures gap down here at about $78,000 to $80,000. Will we fill it? I don't think we will, but it's in the realm of possibility that that does come into play and be a factor. As it stands right now, Bitcoin is holding on this trend line that we've established. Currently, it's trading in this range, compressing into this range. But what we also see is a price. What we also see is a price action. God dang it. Starting to round out a bit in here with this deviation. But if we're able to hold this level, basically above, I mean, let's call it really the wick here, $95,000, but really here at about 96,000. If we're able to hold this, and it just chops a little bit longer because we do have a lot of economic news this week. Wait a minute, Ryan O'Leary, Binance selling off assets, getting ready to sell the company? I don't think they're getting ready to sell the company. They're the largest exchange on planet Earth, but maybe I'm wrong. But if this holds in the zone, then I do think that this is still likely in the cards, and it's not just up, straight up. We'd have, likely rejection, little reset, boom, push up, reset on these levels that we've had drawn out for quite some time, a push up into this zone, probably held here for a second to really, this could even be a little bit larger dip before we get that move, or it's one or the other, right? But we always forget that God dang it. It's never one or the other. It very still could likely still just chop in this range all the way through into the end of the quarter. I think that's less likely because there's so much built up tension in this market right now. So with that being said, let's continue on through here, because if this is a setup, remember what happens when we look at the Bitcoin value map here from the rational root. This level that we're at right here, which is this the start of the potential, and this is just a self-identified nomenclature here, this overvalued zone. Notice that right here, this is a point in which it kind of paused. And from that's when you got the boom, the really big move up here. Similar thing back here. And I think we're more like 2017 than this very bizarre what we're seeing in cycle having 3. But what we're seeing here is the rejection at overvalued, reset right here on fair value. Okay, rejection overvalued, reset, rejection overvalued, reset. And then it was here at the point of breaking out of this, even testing back to it. This is when things really got spicy. Same thing back here, rejection at overvalued, reset back down. Okay, comes back. And then on this move, that was a parabolic move, reset. That was another parabolic move. Once we clear that zone, that's when the exuberance has come into the market. And we're on the cusp of this right now. And let alone, remember the capital flow that we've been talking about. The capital flow is coming down and resetting, much like it did right here. And this was this 7-month sideways price action. On the reset, it took 7 months for this to come down and fully reset. But then we got the boom, the big move up. That was about 100% move. Same thing here, reset. Boom, that was a large move. We're kind of on the cusp of fully resetting if we haven't fully reset already. If we start to get the capital flow to come in, and remember, what do we have in 7 days? 7 days, a week from now, we have the FTX disbursements, redistributions of $16 billion to crypto-focused people that have been on the sidelines for the last 2 years. The last 2 years, a little over 2 years. So how much of that gets deployed back in the market? And then on top of that, then we have what's going on with the Treasury General account. Then we also have the bank term funding program. There's a lot of things going on right now that are a setup for a huge amount of liquidity to start to get released into markets. The question is going to be, how quick does that get deployed right back in to crypto, or if at all, right? You have to be a little bit careful there. But then we see right here, ETH just printed a golden cross on the weekly chart. Every previous golden cross has led to major upside. The question is not if, but when Ethereum will stand. I think ETH has got such the bad FUD narrative as of late that it leads me more to believe that it's likely about to just leave so many people behind, because everybody's focused on Solana and Sui and Aptos and all the stuff we're focused on too. But I've been hinting at this for some time. I think that ETH is getting into that point where the majority of people not really paying attention. I think this is going to melt faces. And it's not just ETH. We also see Cardano. Microsoft is coming to Cardano. Will Charles sit with them on March 1st? Charles reveals that Microsoft may partner with Cardano ecosystem soon, just a day after the Cardano ETF was filed by Grayscale. In addition to this, there's also been the speculation around some of the other things about some major players that Charles is meeting with in the coming weeks, right? And he said it wasn't just one; it likely could be a couple. In addition to that, Cardano's working on a lot of things that are going to bridge liquidity or work in conjunction with Bitcoin. So that would be another major thing as well. But that likely won't come until maybe announcements just before May. But I know he's working on getting that all being able to be demoed and talked about during the Bitcoin conference, which I believe is the third week of May. So a lot of things coming to Cardano. When we look at this, when we look at Cardano on the charts, zooming in on this daily, let's go to the 4-hour. We see this trend line that we've been watching on Cardano. Rejection, look, rejection, breakout, has a bit of support right on this trend line. Okay, loses it, comes right back, rejection, and then curves around. This is a lot like what we were just seeing on Bitcoin. What am I talking about? This sort of roundingness with the deviation. What do we see? The roundingness with the deviation, but this has not gotten the move yet. You see how this high, much lower low, sorry, a low, much lower low, a little bit, quite a bit higher low, boom. What do we see on Bitcoin? Look at this, boom, much lower low, boom. This is not fully resetting yet, but look at this. Cardano got the news to get the pop. Is this going to be able to hold here? Well, we still have negative money flow on the 4-hour. We got the stochastics a bit high, RSI a bit high, the VWAP a bit high. The momentum wave really flipped bullish here. But let's look at this on the daily first. So look at this, pushing right into the dynamic resistance zone, but this has gotten above this weekly VWAP line, this yellow line, which I think is my favorite line on these charts. Once it loses this, look, just rides it as resistance, tries to deviate, resistance, slices back up into it. So at some point, we're going to want to see where the bulls bring this back into support. But look at all this green. Look at all this green. Almost, I mean, every single one of these green. So all these are in green positions on the daily. We got the triangle here, meaning that the momentum wave has rolled back over. We have negative money flow, but the VWAP here down on the BitLab trim fuels angled up. The stochastics have bottomed. They're starting to angle up. RSI really showing a huge impulse of strength here. Now, when we get down here, let's go to the 6-hour. Now look at this. We got the potential reversal signal, reversal signal, and this is kind of rolled down just a little bit more. But then, boom, we got that boom reversal, and this is right on the point of this cutting through the weekly VWAP. It came up, had a little resistance, a little hesitation before it got through this resistance trend line. And then as soon as this closed, boom, popped up, and we got huge buying volume, which we can tell because this is green bars right in here, and we have this teal bar right here. That teal bar, the teal candle, means that there was a huge amount of buying pressure that came in. Now we got stopping volume at the moment, which is this yellow candle, and a doji here showing a potential reversal. A reversal doesn't mean this is fully over, but when we zoom into this on the 6-hour, this just means, okay, we got the move, and every move you want to have a little bit of a retrace. Where does this retrace come to? Does it hold above this weekly VWAP here, bounce on this, and then make the move? That would be super bullish. In fact, in the process, you could form a bull flag. So looking at this, let me go ahead and delete this line, boom. Okay, there's another line right there. There we go. But this is super bullish with the news that we're seeing on with potential Microsoft inclusion, or also the discussions that may be happening with Trump, maybe happening with Elon, maybe happening with Joe Rogan, but also the call to action in regards to what's happening with the Department of Government Efficiency and what's happening with government spending. Elon's statement about stuff needs to be on blockchain. Government spending should be on blockchain. If that does happen, which blockchain will it be? Will it be a group of blockchains for different types of things? We'll have to see. This is all emerging because we just got a crypto-friendly administration. This is why we are so bullish on where this is all going, but we're still waiting for what that constitutes as to what the layout and the integrations are in the broader crypto ecosystem. So yes, we're bullish, but we still got to be a little bit patient. And remember, patience means you can either sit on your hands and not be so stressed or figure out where you want to continue to stack. We got a big announcement from ONDO, but then the post was deleted. hinting at a potential Trump-backed World Liberty Financial, the Trump-backed World Liberty Finance. Is this going to be partnering with ONDO? There was a tweet that came out from ONDO that has since been deleted, but was that hinting? Was it kind of like we didn't mean to release this yet? Was that hinting at an ONDO partnership? Remember, they did the World Liberty Finance and Donald Trump Jr. spoke at the ONDO Summit, and World Liberty Finance bought quite a bit of ONDO on that day as well. So is this an indication? Well, let's go ahead and look at the ONDO chart. I know I've been stacking into it. As it stands right now, we got this, let's turn off the indicators, that we got this massive move up. Oh, but then the sell-off in a bullish, basically a bullish falling channel. It did break bullish, and this is what I've been talking about on all your assets. Watch for patterns. Understand that the breakouts that they signal statistically very well may happen, but it could be a fake out. Similarly, if this does fail, this causes people to short out the butt only to have it reverse, come up, and then make the move. We're seeing fake outs in both directions. So look, we got the move up. Everybody goes leverage long, and then boom, washes out. Now we're getting the rounding bottom, starting to push up. It cannot clear this level. And then rising broadening wedges tend to signal a bearish breakdown. We got it. Came right back into the zone and is holding at this level. I'm very bullish on ONDO, but it doesn't mean that it can't have another washout to the downside. As it's signaled right now, I put that as less likely because there's all this, I put like kind of this zone right here is somewhere. If this moves into this zone, I would be a definite buyer. I mean, I would be a buyer here just because I have conviction. You have to determine what you want to do with this, but there's big things at play with ONDO. And remember, what do I mean by big things at play with ONDO? Well, let's go to this next chart. Remember, $15 trillion in assets under management just in this financial ecosystem alone, let alone all the other ecosystem ONDO is tied in with or partnering with or working with integrations. ONDO ecosystem, BlackRock, PayPal, Morgan Stanley, McKinsey & Company, Wellington Management, Wisdom Tree, Aon, Franklin Templeton, ABN, Google. They just outlined this with their summit, and I think some people are confused. Some people are confused about ONDO Summit last week. And was it that this week? Yeah. Some people are confused by the ONDO Summit. Should have been bigger news. Okay, ONDO chain, great, good news. But you know what was the bigger news? When you look at this chart and realize all the different people, all the different institutions, the $15 trillion in this partnership ecosystem already. I think what was displayed at the ONDO Summit was more of a presentation of look at all the people we're partnered with. Yes, we have ONDO Chain. Yes, we're going to be working to integrate and build into an on-chain Web3, on-chain Wall Street, on-chain Wall Street 2.0, tokenizing the global financial system, $15 trillion just in this ecosystem that they had integrated and participating in the ONDO Summit. That's the real signal here. And if you don't understand that, then go buy other assets, go buy a meme coin, go. But this is the type of thing I want to stack into where you have $15 trillion worth of assets under management by these types of partners. That signals to me bullishness of what's to come because the amount of support that's within those teams they're in. How can you not be bullish on that? Holy moly, golly. So let's continue on. We got to get in some TA. Now, Chainlink, again, Chainlink will be a top 5 token. Look at all the partnerships. It's got the most legit partnerships in crypto. DTCC, American Century Investments, Edward Jones, JP Morgan, US Bank, State Street, Invesco, BNY Mellon. And then you look over here, all of the integrations here. Then you look at all the partnerships here. I mean, the fact that they're likely going to be launching Swift, at least the demo, test trials, whatever integrations, Q4 this year, $7.5 trillion in volume a day on Swift, $3 quadrillion a year on DTCC, settling everything happening within the stock market. I mean, are you not? I mean, this is why my 2 biggest holdings right now in my alt portfolio are ONDO and Chainlink. And I don't tell you that to pump my bags. There's nothing you all could buy or sell that would affect what's going on in those markets with ONDO and Chainlink because there's so many other massive players that are involved. If you sell, somebody else is buying. If you sell, I'm buying. But you guys have to pick where your strategy is. Some people have much shorter attention spans. You want to buy something, trade it. You want to go up, down, immediately. Fine, do that. All I can share with you is what I see is super bullish in this market going forward. Now, continuing on, what do we got? Aerodrome, of course, also supply locked. 49% of AERO is supply is locked for 3.8 years. Base Network's largest DEX is not playing around. So, again, now, Fed's Jerome Powell just said he will commit to work to help end debanking. I don't even know. I don't think this was saved. This was just, I guess, happened to be there. But then also, of course, CZ, largest crypto influencer out there. If you think about it, used to be the head of Binance, founder of Binance, and of course had all the legal debacle, whatever. But he's been really focusing on building out and getting more awareness around BNB chain, so it's not something to balk at. What's going on with BNB chain? Where is it even at on here? I don't look at it regularly enough. Let's just type in, just a quick tip. You can click on your chart and then just type in BNB. You don't have to come up here and find it. No, just remember, just click on the chart and start typing BNB. It's an easy way to do it. Go to crypto, BNB USDT. There we go. Okay, let's look at this on the macro. Let's go to, I like log. Some people don't like log. Oops, wrong thing. Boom. Massive growth, a lot of consolidation. Massive growth, a lot of consolidation. I mean, to me, this looks so ready to make a move, especially with this sort of tightening in here. Let's go ahead and move this tightening in. This looks like it's a little bit, godly. I don't have enough room on my desk. I have my switcher right where my mouse is, so it always runs into it. But looking here at BNB, we can delete some of this nonsense here. Boom, clear. You know what? Here, just remove 15 drawings. There we go. So we're going to do a box right here. Rejection. Now we're going to do option T. So we got the deviation below that scared a lot of people, but in a regional sense, this is really still holding this zone. But this is, I mean, just in this zone right here, this is an ascending triangle, right? Which means from this point forward, all of this, right? You have a rising level of support, flat level of resistance. And this is just loading in. We got positive money flow here on the 3-day chart. The VWAP started angled up. Look at this. Stochastics came all the way back down. RSI came all the way back down. And this is holding in this zone. So what does it look like on the 4-hour? Okay, let's zoom in here. It's right. See, look at this. It tried to fake people out. Rejected, held. This is what I see ONDO kind of doing. Remember that scary move? Came up, rejected, and then kind of held sideways. I do see something like this happening in the near future with ONDO. But right now, it's kind of being held right here at this level. Option J, we got the line. This is the lows, low bounce, right? Now we reject it once, we reject it twice, but now we're back up within this trend line. Money flow is negative, but look at this. Money flow is negative, but it's trying to flip positive. It just hadn't had the follow through on that capital flow coming in. But it, for all intents and purposes, has flipped positive. It just hasn't been super strong, which is why this is still gray, this flip right here. So we're watching this. Once this clears this zone, I expect this to have a decent move, and we can see the trend line. We're actually going to make this touch the most spots possible. So that's this spot, a little deviation, rejection, rejection, rejection. So this is the zone we're watching right here on BNB before the next move. But we got to go back and realize there's a couple other things. Did I already delete the ETH? That's the boom. I thought I had an ETH chart in here. I don't know. But coming back, looking at what's going on with Bitcoin, this is still going to be a little bit of a driving factor in the markets. It's kind of be the risk signal for the alt market really to get the capital flow. It's kind of on the 24-hour chart. It's chopped. It's trapped between these two zones. Let me refresh this because it might have changed a little bit since we had that small move to the downside. And you see, look, it did. It's coming down to tap that zone. I had this loaded about an hour ago, and since that, this chose to come and tap this liquidity, which to me tells me let's go and clear the lows so that we can have, without the magnet below us, let's clear those lows and then make the move up. Had it moved up first, this would have told me, let's try to do a bull trap and then move down. But this is moving to the downside first. And there's not much, look at this, there's not much below this. But with this, clearing this, even tapping it, starting to move up, you have a lot more liquidity above us on the 24-hour chart. If you come out to the week chart, I just want you to notice, I mean, this has just been messy. Actually, this is, I want the month chart. That's what I was looking at. Look at this, clearing all this liquidity to the downside. The majority of the liquidity is above us on Bitcoin. If you come over to ETH, where is, same thing happened yesterday. I just confused. I don't, here we go. Symbol, boom, ETH. There we go. ETHUSDT. That's not what I want to look at. Damn it. Pair. I don't care. Pair, symbol, boom, ETH. There. I don't know why it gave me that whole real weird window a second ago. On ETH, it's kind of in the same sort of trap. Everything is still kind of waiting a little bit on what's going on with Bitcoin. But here on the 48-hour, there is a little bit more liquidity below us. But when we come over to the ETH chart, let's look up, go to ETH, boom. This has kind of been in a weird sort of predicament here because on the macro, we had a massive inverted head and shoulders. This kind of invalidated that a little bit. Now, it doesn't mean it's not going to break to the upside, but looking at the shoulder here and then the deeper head and then this potential shoulder, this is like, let's wash people out. Is this going to be a deviation on the inverted head and shoulders? Who knows? But what we're seeing here is this big move down. It came back up into the pocket right in the zone. If we don't get bad, market shakeup news in throughout the rest of this week with the I think it's CPI, PPI. Let's go to Forex calendar. Where are we at? So USD, we had the FOMC member speaks, testifies. Okay, we have all the FOMC members speaking. It's, all that's kind of losing a little bit of weight here, but the core CPI is coming out month over month tomorrow. Okay, and year over year, all the CPI readings. And then on Thursday, then we have right here, where's USD? Then we have the core PPI, Producers Price Index, right? And unemployment claims. And then on Friday, we have core retail sales and retail. So the reason why this is important is because everybody's waiting for some of these data signals so that they can predict how much closer we might be to getting Fed rate cuts, right? Because we paused. Or when are they going to signal that those rate cuts are actually going to happen? Giving a little bit more dovish. They've been very coy and very careful about how they are signaling all this. Now, they've already front run this a little bit with some of the tonality that they've given, which is if we see inflation come down a little bit more, we may be, all these different talking points. So then now tomorrow, when we get that data, and the day after that, when we get that data, the core CPI and the PPI, if that's in line with some of the tonality we've seen from these Fed members speaking the last 2 days, then maybe there's more of an indication to think about what's going to happen. But then we have all the other stuff with the Treasury general account potentially moving out because there's not much liquidity anymore in the reverse repo market and all these complicated signals. Essentially, is there liquidity coming into the market? So the point being is we have this big economic news and everybody's wondering why isn't the price moving right now? It's because we know that economic news is there. It's ripe to provide trade signal for emotional traders, for big market makers to really chop people out. It doesn't change the long-term outlook about where this market is going. So let's go ahead and continue on. We want to look at Solana as well. So let's take a look at Solana. These are all looking the same. You see this a low, lower low, comes back up into the zone. A low, let's see right here. This is it. Low, lower low, comes back up into the zone. We're seeing it across the board. Aerodrome. Low, lower low, comes back up into the zone, but not as much. But I mean, this is in a beautiful falling wedge. But the falling wedge additionally is not just a falling wedge. It also has a nice rounding bottom. If this can hold here and not wash out one more move to the downside, look at all these bullish divergences that have been layering in here. Once this pops, I'd be looking for a move into this zone right here, about $1.20, but it's not going to just move up into that zone, right? This needs to really fight its way through here. And the market is just waiting on some indication of liquidity is about to send this market. SM portfolio, small portfolio. I don't know what small portfolio, SM portfolio, but build with biweekly sacrifices as head of the household, trying to better myself and my beautiful wife. Been holding on crypto since 21. I'm liking the ride. Yeah, you know it. Sometimes I'm telling you guys, it's the calm before the storm. And don't forget, don't cut out Litecoin either, guys. Litecoin keeps getting indicated from people like James Seyfart and Eric Baltunas that they put a whole probability map out for what the next ETF is going to be. And Litecoin's on the top of that list. And they're the ones that have been calling these ETFs. So Litecoin, look at this. Came out of this move, boom, popped right up into this zone. I expect maybe a little bit of chop in the zone before another leg up. But then also Tau giving a lot of move all the way to the downside, $238 on Tau. And look at this. On the candle body closes, beautiful W formation. Now it's broken out of this neckline, coming right up into this zone. Now it's all the way back up here to about 415. It rejected here at 437. Is the AI narrative about to start getting a bit of a pop as well? We'll have to see. But we still see pretty big sell-offs with a bit of a bounce. But Render had a very large sell-off. Same thing we saw. Look at this. The low, big deviation, and then came back into the zone. I mean, across the board, the market is just looking like it's trying to just wash people out. And it feels Constellation Dag. Look, the chop here, the bounce 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 here, back right here, bounce here. This feels like it's getting spring loaded. And the dog, oh my God, it's selling off. Oh my God, it's crashing, right? Dog, it's over for dog. Is it though? We just got a pretty big announcement yesterday from Leonidas, who's kind of like, this is a fully community token, right? It's evenly distributed, 100,000 plus wallets, holder type people, not the Solana meme, throw this shit away every 7 minutes if it doesn't spark my interest. No, there's a whole different narrative within the dog ecosystem. And this is still holding up to that comparison that we've made with Pepe. Zooming out on this, let's go ahead and look. Remember, this is that comparison. This move, chop, the pop again, the breakdown into the buy zone and this falling wedge, and then that move that ended up being, 1,000% move. What do we get? We got this same roundingness. Let's go ahead and compare the same roundingness, just reinstituting this. Look at this with the double bottom, the move up with the chop, the move up with the chop. Okay. The next impulse up into, what does it look like? It's the same darn pattern that this is what preceded that monster move here on Pepe that then just continued up from the breakout point of the low, ended up at the top, a 32X. Now, is that going to happen on dog? Who knows? But I do know that Leonidas is basically getting the community rallied together to get this on every different chain out there, from Solana to let's actually go over and look at, let's go here to, we're going to go to Leonidas's page right here. They are working. If the dog army executes and makes a lot of noise, it is within the realm of possibility that dog liquidity pools on Solana could double our holder count within 30 days. And it's not just Solana. Excuse me. It's going to be across many, many different chains, essentially Operation Dog Domination, basically rallying the community together with a lot of people on their own willingness, large holders out there to basically commit their dog tokens to liquidity pools to, I don't want to say bridge, it's the wrong word, to basically deploy dog with accessibility across different chains in Bitcoin L1.5s and Bitcoin L2s and the Solana ecosystem in Hyperliquid, and also eventually into the centralized exchanges. The dog community is ferociously active, and it's the holder type community, not the, hey, Solana meme coin trader, blah, blah, blah. But we want to give access to people on every different chain that wants wants access to dogs, so they don't have to just come over to the Bitcoin ecosystem. And that's what it's about when you have a community pulled together to figure out how they can really drive growth in an ecosystem. But that's all I got for today, everybody. I love you. I appreciate you. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Shout out to the dog army. Shout out to the Bitcoin army. Shout out to every one of you here in the BitLab community. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have an absolutely splendiferous day. Let's keep our heads up. The slingshot is still loading. Don't get frustrated by the patience that you need to have sometime in this market, because when it starts to rip, holy moly, it happens so quickly, and you want to be positioned before that. And diversification, I think, is key. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. That's all we got for today. Let's go ahead and get you set up on the blockchain basement redirect, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios, muchachos. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in. Token Tide Temptress, you gave me a super chat. I just saw it. Let's do dot. I want to make sure I get super chats when people do it. And I did tell you I do dot. So let's do dot. My bad. I'm glad I looked at that right before we were closing. Okay, we got the levels. This is bleeding. Oh my God, it's over. But look at this surroundingness. Okay, the impulse up, falling wedge, the fake out to the downside that ultimately ended up breaking to the upside, gave us another opportunity. DOT is also on one of those listed applications for ETFs. Strong community within the DOT ecosystem. And this has come down, interestingly. Let's look at this. Look at that. No, I wouldn't say that's the case, but yeah. Okay, we got the more bullishness, bullish, neutral, bullish. Momentum waves here have rolled back over. Stochastics angled up, RSI angled up. That's all on the daily. What's it looking like? This is what we're really watching for. Let's actually move this line right. Oops. Let's move this line right in here. That's a bit ugly there. There's not really a trend line there. So what we're looking for here is this zone right in here. This zone right here. This had the big washout, came back up into the zone. This is a zone. Once it clears this headache zone, I think we're going to start. This is when the market is really starting to make some pretty solid moves to the upside. So I wouldn't count DOT out yet. It's just like everything. We had the big washout back in the zone. This is a zone we really want to pay attention to here when it gets back above 534, $6 really. The next level we're really watching is 645, some chop in here and on the way up. But as it stands right now, it just looks weak, but it's along with everything else in the market is just getting the washout sort of zone kind of flush. But that's what we see. I love you. I appreciate you. Adios, muchachos.